Hello, I'm Richard Smith, Master Electrician at Pecan Street, and this is a self-help guide for getting an eGauge system back online. The eGauge is how we collect all the data for our energy research, so we greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video and try to get your system communicating again. Before I begin, let me give you a quick overview of how the eGauge system works. So the eGauge is a data logger that's installed at your electrical panel. It uses a group of sensors called current transformers. These clip around each individual circuit wire, and we've configured it so that we know what each CT is measuring, such as air conditioning equipment, PV generation, or whole home usage. The eGauge communicates over the power line to a little device called a Homeplug. The Homeplug plugs into a wall outlet and has an Ethernet cable that connects it to your internet router. This is how you're able to reach the device with a web browser. So there are 3 steps you can take to try to get your system to communicate again. Reboot your router and modem, reboot the Homeplug, and reboot the eGauge itself. To reboot the eGauge, go out to your electrical panel, find the breaker labeled eGauge, turn it off, and turn it back on. To reboot your modem, simply disconnect it from power, count to 10, plug it back in. To reboot the Homeplug, same process as rebooting the router, finding it, disconnecting it from power, and plugging it back in. The hardest part of this whole process may be actually locating the Homeplug. These things tend to get buried along with a bunch of other power supplies somewhere around your router or other home electronics. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the home plugs now. So there are 3 basic types of home plugs that we've used throughout the years. The older systems will use this gray one right here. And all the rest will either use this Action Tech home plug or the TP-Link home plug. The Action Tech and TP-Link function the same. We made the product switch somewhere around 2016. So I'm going to start with the gray home plug first. So when you first plug it in, the power LED tells you whether or not it has power. After 10 seconds, it tells you whether or not there's power line communication. So you plug it in and the power light goes out after 10 seconds. That means you're not having any power line communication. The bottom light labeled link tells you whether or not it is connected to a switch or a hub. Doesn't tell you if there's any activity on the Ethernet, it just tells you whether or not it's connected. So if that's lights out, you want to check the Ethernet cable or check the box that it's plugged into. So the Action Tech and TP-Link home plugs have 3 LEDs. The top LED is power. If this one's out, they're all going to be out. That's a failed home plug. Home plugs do fail. Contact us, we'll ship you out a replacement. The bottom LED shows whether or not there's Ethernet connection or not. Again, like with the gray one, it doesn't show activity, it just shows whether or not it's connected. The middle LED shows power line communication. So if it's not lit, there's no power line communication. For the Action Tech, you should expect to see the middle LED blinking red. And for the TP-Link, you'll expect to see it blinking slow green. If you get a solid red or a solid green, that means that communication got stuck or is lost, and you want to reboot the home plug. So if your eGauge system is still offline, then we need to talk about where the home plug is located. There are 3 things that cause problems for power line communication. They are distance, surge arresters, and noise. So if your home plug's a long way away from the panel, that could be a problem. If you're plugged into a surge arresting power strip, that is going to be a problem. It could be communicating slow or not at all. And if there's a bunch of other power supplies, that can be very noisy and that can cause slow communication or failed communication. The fix here is to find another outlet that doesn't have a bunch of electronics plugged into it and use a longer Ethernet cable. Worst case, you would have to move the home plug to an outlet that's much closer to the electrical panel and maybe connect it to a Wi-Fi extender. If you're still having trouble getting your system back online, go ahead and send me an email. We'll set up a time to talk and see what we can do to get your system working again. Thank you again for participating with Pecan Street.